The 80s Request Lunch, Steve Perry and Journey. That was a pick from Becky today. Don't stop believing. Some great advice there. Well, we've come to the final section of the 80s Request Lunch as I wrap things up here. And I got to tell you, I'm a lucky guy. Not very often in this business or in any media business that you actually get a chance to say goodbye to your audience. So this is an opportunity that I cherish. And I thank the management here for giving me the opportunity. You know, I came here in February of 1985. That's when I began on Cars. It was a Saturday night air shift. And I remember the program director, Michael Kay, at the time. You know, he came in at midnight to set me up and get me off. And as he headed home, you know, I'm so excited to do that first break. And all it was a legal ID that basically said Cars 108 playing favorites of yesterday and today at WCRZ.com. I remember how tense I was and read it, and not 5 seconds after I read it, the hotline rings. And in radio or television, probably, that's the worst thing that could happen. And it was the program director, and he said, "You need to do the legal ID again." And I said, "You know, what do you mean? You gave the wrong call letters." So I'm lucky I still had a job. I ended up here some 30 years later after a beginning like that. I think I gave the old WGMZ call letters, which it had been up for all those years. But I'll tell you, you know, I sat down last night to thank all the people who were part of the success of Cars 108. We've had monstrous success through the years. 8 years in a row, we were the most listened to station in Flint. And we went off a couple of years and came back with 7 more straight years. And there were so many people who are responsible for that success. And I wanted to thank them all. And when I started making the list last night, I realized I'll be here 20 minutes saying names that you've never heard. So I had to narrow it down a little bit. And if I miss someone, I'm more than sorry, but there were a lot of people responsible. First of all, I was very fortunate. I was a lucky guy. I had great management. I went through 4 different companies when I came here. It was Bill Lee and Corgi Communications, and then I think about 1989 or so, maybe a little bit before that, Faircom Communications bought it. They sold to Regent eventually, and Regent sold to Town Square. But through all of those companies, they were all such marvelous companies to work for, and such a great place to work. It made our success that much easier. Along with that, I had great support here in the building. We had great people in traffic, in sales, in production, and in engineering. All of those people. Our success didn't happen because of me. It happened because of all the folks who took part in it. Along with that, I mean, of course, you recognize and know the amazing air staff that was here, and this includes a lot of people. It began, my morning show was Dave McKay, who now works at WQYK in Tampa, Florida, in a major market down there. Folks like Andy Isola, who worked behind the scenes as promotions director, Maggie Meadows, who now works on one of our sister stations, The Banana. Of course, you know, Rod and Steph and Stu Allen, who spent years here. George McIntyre, who I got to tell you was my right-hand guy for years and years and years. Jim Johnson. There were even part-timers. Dale Willis, who is still in the building, was one of the first people I hired some 29 years ago. Wright Wilson and more. I know I'm not getting everybody on the list, but I want to thank all of those people, and you know, just an amazing group of people. We had so much success. Matter of fact, we had so much success, we grew from 2 stations here to 6. And along with that came some new hires, and I really did a great job on this. I hired up my replacement on Cars 108, Clay Church, who's the new program director, and he's also the new operations manager. Tony Labrie, who runs Banana 101.5 in the building, and Dan Foley, who handles our AM, and his staff over there. They're all just dedicated and, you know, just an amazing group of people. One of the most wonderful things about working here was the dedication of the community that came through. We did so much to help the community, and the staff itself. I used to ask the staff to choose a charity and, you know, throw yourself into it. And Rod, of course, I don't know if you remember, he camped out so many weekends with our food drives where he'd stay out on remote from marathons. Stu Allen was the king of donating blood. He followed the American Red Cross around and donated as much as he could and promoted their events for him. George McIntyre worked with Special Olympics. I worked with cystic fibrosis. We had a great, and still do, connection to the community. That's really what we're all about. I was a lucky guy. I hosted the Classic Lunch here for 27 years. I took over the 80s Request Lunch when it changed over. I had a Saturday night show that I loved doing the oldies called Jay's Jukebox. I'm going to be staying in the building, so I'm really lucky in that. I'm going to move over to US 1031, our sister station. I'll be a program director over there and doing middays over there, doing the ultimate Classic Lunch. So if you get a chance, check that out. And I'm really lucky to have all of you as listeners. Matter of fact, I'm more than lucky. I'm blessed. I do want to leave you with a song because that's what we do best. There really aren't enough words for me to tell you how much everything's meant. The show's over, but the memories you've given me will last forever. Here's Jackson Browne. Thank you very much. I made it to the end.
You did a great job.